I'm in the state law library here with Greg Hartzell, who served 6 years in the Iowa House. He's from Columbia,
Columbia, correct.
Iowa. Sorry, small town. And I keep wanting to say Kellogg because I know it's the general area down there. And he's a good friend, a homeschool parent. He and his wife both clerk at the state legislature. And so I like to tease him. I said, you served 6 years in the Iowa House, decided not to run again, and ended up coming back now in your third year clerking for Senator Whiting. And I said, what's up with that? You couldn't get enough of this place or what? So if you could tell us a little bit what a clerk does and what brought you back to do it.
Sure. Well, boy, what a clerk does. There's a lot. Well, maybe I should start with how I even got back here. I was actually Senator Whiting and I worked together when I was a legislator in the House, and he actually worked for Congressman King beforehand. And we had, sometimes when state legislators try to make sure that we're working in tandem with our federal representatives, and so Senator Whiting was my contact with Congressman King's office, and so we've known each other for a few years, and it just didn't work out. Not like we planned this, but one time, the year that I decided not to run again, he decided to run for the Senate, and so just happened to work out that I called him up to congratulate him on his election to the Senate, and he mentioned something about he was still looking for a clerk, and I said, oh, that's interesting, and I just said, well, you wouldn't consider an old washed up retired legislator, would you? And he said, well, who do you have in mind? And I said, well, me, I think. And he said, well, if you're serious about that, you're hired. So that's kind of how it was a really short interview. But as far as what a clerk does, we make sure that the legislators are where they're supposed to be. Especially when we have our subcommittee meetings. I mean, sometimes Senator Whiting will have as many as 7 subcommittee meetings that he's either chairing or a member of, and so one of the things I do is I create a homework packet. It's kind of nice because I get to put the homework together and I send it to him at home, and then he has to do the homework and getting prepared for the next day's subcommittees, or if he's chairing a bill through full committee or on the floor. I make sure that he's got all that prepared and ready to go, scheduling the subcommittees, making sure that constituents' email is being answered. If he needs to meet with particular lobbyists on whatever issue or bill that he's working on, just coordinating all of that. I mean, we joke, and I can speak from personal experience, is that legislators are kind of like children. You got to keep track of them all the time. You got to know where they're at. You got to make sure they have their cell phone with them, because if you need to find them quickly, you need to be able to grab them and get them where they're going. There's a lot of times when, especially in the weeks leading up to funnel, the legislators, as he's coming out of one meeting, I'll grab the information or the documents I've given him for that meeting, and I'll pull them out of his hand, and I'll put into his hand the next meeting he's going to. So there's a lot, just keeping them on their toes and keeping them, where they're supposed to be.
Sounds like a lot of us could use a clerk in our lives.
Yes.
So thank you for your work at the legislature, for
Absolutely.
your service for homeschoolers in particular over the years that I've known you. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bill.